Jack Ringenberg Media.
Hey everyone, it's Kayce and welcome back to College Life Unscripted. And today we're going to be talking about kind of like the social life here at Ball State. I feel like as a freshman we were really introduced to it at orientation. And even before orientation, like whenever you came for like a campus tour or I came for like an academic day where I like looked into classes from my majors and stuff. But I feel like the social life here at Ball State is very involved. I feel like we are very like, I don't know, like there's different organizations that you can get into. There's different clubs. And like even within your majors, there's different clubs. So like even the clubs that are listed for like students to just randomly join, like there are other ones as well. And not even clubs, like there's like certain... Like there's the sports teams, there's fraternities and sororities. But yeah, just a bunch of different clubs, I think, that are open to anybody, depending on like what you're into. You know, there's like comedy clubs, there's Greek life. There's a lot of Greek life. There's dance clubs, there's like theater education clubs. Like if you wanted to do something with singing, there's a badminton club, and you can even join a club for like your residence hall or like I guess dining halls as well, because it says here dining. But like I said, like sports clubs, there's a bass fishing club. There's a lot of like Black student associations, so there's that as well. But yeah, basically just a bunch of normal random things. You can even start your own club. You can, like if you didn't want to do any of the clubs that were offered here, but you had had an idea for one, you could do that. And like I said, the Greek life is very big. Some of like the basic frats that I see are like ATO, the Delts, Phi Delta Theta, Phi Kappa Psi, Phi Sigma Kappa, and then there's Sigma Nu, basically all the ones that are on frat row. But then sororities I'd say they're pretty normal. Sigma Kappa, Delta Zeta, Phi Mu, Alpha Phi, Alpha Chi Omega, or Alpha Chi Omega. But the difference between, I think, a fraternity and a sorority is that the frats have houses and the sororities don't. Like, there is no house for sorority girls, so you'll just have to kind of get together in your own little space. But I think definitely if you wanted to join, a club, it's up to you. At orientation, they talked a lot about getting in a club because they wanted kids to get out more. But before school, like before classes started, there was a lot of kids who just went out and they didn't even join a club. They just played volleyball at like the volleyball courts, or they like just walked around campus, which you don't really need a club for. But there's also like classes that there aren't clubs, but they're like a club, I think, like the walking class. I don't understand why that's a class, but, it could be a club. Walk for fun, I guess. But yeah, I'm not in any clubs because I'm not gonna lie, these don't look very fun, but that's just me. I would maybe, yeah, no, never mind. I take that back. But yeah, but I'm not gonna join a sorority either because I don't want to pay to be there. If I wanted to pay for friends, well, that's just stupid. Specifically just frats, I gotta say that about. Sororities, not so much. I respect sororities more than I respect the frats because they're frats. I've got a few on here that I'm like, ugh, definitely not a good fraternity. I won't specifically say which ones, but there's definitely a few where I've heard about and had a little run-in with. Maybe like 2. Not the best. They could be better. IFC, what are we doing? Come on now. I really don't like fraternities. I'm going to be so honest. One of my least favorite fraternities is Phi Delta Theta. Their party was awful. I went for 15 minutes and I was like, I gotta get out of here. It's so hot. It's gross in there. Fraternity houses are disgusting, by the way. Not even fraternity houses. The basements are so gross. Y'all have to realize that it's just a bunch of men who live in that house. No offense, but they can't clean to save their lives, I swear. Sigma Nu, I heard from one of your old brothers that basement never got cleaned. What is wrong with you? I went to Sigma Nu one time 2 weeks in a row and I'm still sick. I'm still suffering 3 months in. Snoo, come on. Their flower is a white rose and their symbol is a serpent. Okay. Oh, their address is on here. My favorite though is Phi Delta Theta's motto. It's that's not it. They have a motto that somebody made fun of one day. Hold on, let me pull this up. It's become the greatest version of yourself, and somebody said, what version? The alcoholic? I know some things about some fraternities that I shouldn't know. Like Phi Delta. ATO, they're not bad. I'll give them that. They're not the worst. I've heard that they're racist. But I don't know. And the Delts and SAE we all know about. Phi Psi though, you guys have my heart. I love you guys. They're not weird. They're not creepy. They keep it real. But there's another frat that's not on this list that kind of makes me upset, and it's Delta Chi. One of my friends is in Delta Chi. Pretty sick. I'll give them that. But just some of the stuff that I've heard about frats are not the best. Like, obviously I should not go to frat parties. You gotta live a little, in my opinion. But definitely, if I had to give an advice to go to any of these parties, definitely Phi Psi. And even though I just said some stuff about Sigma Nu, they're not that bad. But Sigma Chi, don't touch them with a 10-foot pole. No. But yeah, I don't even know what Lambda Chi Alpha is. Never even heard of that. There's some of these frats, so there's only like, how many? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's only 11 on this list, but like I said, Delta Chi, they just started back up on campus actually this year. And then there are other frats. They're not the other quote unquote frats. They're not actual frats. They're club frats. So anybody could join, but specifically they want it to be a fraternity for boys, obviously. Because they're not recognized by the IFC, which makes sense. You can't just start a random thing and immediately want to become a fraternity. Like Alpha Chi Omega, I don't think they're on here. Oh wait, yeah, they are. I lied. Whoops. I guess Alpha Gamma Delta Beta Tau. Huh. That one's not there. I'm trying to find some of these other ones. There was one that I saw that was it's called Sinfonia. They sing. And they made pancakes for a fundraiser, I guess, which, okay, cool. One I do have to talk about is it's a club frat, but they want it to be a frat that's not going to be a frat. What's it called? Delta Gamma Iota, DGI. They're okay. Some of them are, I don't know. Like I don't know. If you're not, why risk it? You have to be like an official frat in order to not get in trouble with like throwing a party. Because fraternity is on Riverside and whatever road Snoo is on, they don't get the police called on them because if they're being loud, like the UPD knows that they're throwing a party that night, has to get recognized by the IFC, obviously. But Like, if you're not on Riverside or you're not, like, an official fraternity and you throw a party, like, in the middle of Muncie and you're like, oh, it's a frat, we're a frat, they're gonna be like, no, like, shut this down. Duh. Like, that's... Apparently, one of those little club frats threw a party last week, and they went so crazy that they broke tables. And one of my friends is like, I'm gonna go to the next one, and I'm like, you have fun with that. Like, I'm not going to that. I went to one of those, and it was disgusting. The house was so gross. The floor was so sticky. It was covered in, like, liquid. I don't even know. It was so hot in there. The DJ sucked. Hey man, if you're gonna play music, can you keep it consistent? He would change the music every 30 seconds. Why? I don't understand that. If I want to listen to, like, Jack Harlow, keep it playing. Don't change it just because somebody isn't feeling it or you're not feeling it. My bad. That doesn't make any sense. But no, fraternities, like that first Phi Delta party I went to sucked. Oh my gosh, that was awful. The DJ, I don't know what he was playing. It was so hot in there. The floor was bending inwards. Like, because there were so many people in one room. If you're going to party, in my opinion, fraternities, throw them in the basement of your houses. But make sure that the basement is clean. Please? I can't be leaving with a disease every day. Like, or every time I go. It's awful. I think it's because snooze insulation is literally falling out of their walls into the basement. So was Phi Sig, which is so gross, by the way. They like to bang on the pipes that hang from the ceiling. And one time I went and they banged so hard on it that it fell and hit my friend in the head. And she didn't even know it was there because it was just like dangling out like of the... It was gross. Like, what? I've heard from other frats that like, oh, don't go here because it's gross, or oh, don't go here. And I'm just like, you're all this, like, it's all the same. Like, it's all gross. I have heard, though, that our frats are more active than, like, some other frats. I have a friend who goes to Miami of Ohio in Oxford, and she's like, the frats here are awful. They got one frat shut down a few weeks ago, actually, for some things that were awful. I think it was the same fraternity on their campus that got shut down on our campus for the same exact thing, which is terrible, by the way. No, some of the stuff that I hear about, like Delta Tau Delta, Sigma Chi, and then Sigma Alpha Epsilon. What are we doing, guys? Come on. Sigma Phi Epsilon, however, I asked one of my friends, I was like, they never throw parties, and one of his friends is in that frat, and he's like, yeah, they do. And I was like, it must be private, I guess. I never see them post anything about parties or anything. Same with Theta Chi. There's somebody with a Theta Chi flag in their window, actually, in one of the dorm buildings that I walk past it every day, and I'm just like, what? Okay. I never understood what that meant until literally 5 minutes ago whenever I looked it up. I've got a few friends that go to Purdue, and they're like, yeah, we're in frats. And I'm like, what frat are you in? And they're like, oh, we're in this frat. And I'm like, what is that? Like, I've never heard of that frat before. It's actually, like, crazy. Like, I'll look it up, and I'll be like, why can't I find it? And it's because I literally can't spell it right. Like, I didn't know how to spell psi. In my opinion, I thought it was just PSY, not PSI. What is that? I had an ex in a frat. I'm not gonna say which one, obviously, but there was one time me, him, and my roommate all went out to dinner, and he was singing the Greek alphabet in the car the whole way up there. I was like, dude, can you actually shut up? Like, it was a 30-minute drive. And then we get there, and he's just like, I can't balance you in the frat at the same time. I'm like, wait, you just sung the whole alphabet the whole way up here. I'm like, you can't do that and, like, look at me at the same time? I can't. Oh, my gosh. It was awful. Like, especially some guys who join fraternities, they make it their whole personality. Like, dude, you pay to be there. And personally, if I were my ex, I would have dropped this frat because he literally gets made fun of every single day he's there. Oh, his frat was found at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. Huh. But he's like, I love this frat. They're my brothers. Like, get out of here, bro. You didn't even know who these guys were, like, 6 months ago. But, just the whole, like, including our whole relationship, it was always about the frat. I'd tell him all the time, I'd be like, listen, man, like, I'm proud of you. You know, I'm glad that you found something that you enjoy being a part of. But, like, can I maybe get a text, like, good morning? I can't. I'm busy with the frat. All right. I told him, I said it's either the frat or this relationship. And you know what he did? He broke up with me. One of us had to do it, so I guess he did. In my defense, though, he did not break up with me. I had to ask him if he wanted to break up with me. Keep that in mind. I said, do you want to break up with me? It's not what I want to do, but it's what I have to do. Oh my gosh. Okay. You could have just said it. And then come to find out from one of my friends who was rushing a different frat, he was like, oh yeah, it's normally a frat rule that like you have to date a girl who's like rushing a sorority or in a sorority. And I was like, oh, so that's why he was sobbing and begging me to join a sorority. I'm not gonna do that. And it's simply because, sorority girls, I love y'all. You're beautiful. You're very kind. Personally, in my opinion, y'all literally all act the same. But again, you're all different in your own ways. You're beautiful, every single one of you. I really hate the fact that I hear like frats talk bad about sororities. Specifically Phi Mu. Unfortunately, back to my ex-boyfriend, he was like, yeah, we're partnering with Phi Mu. He was like, but they're calling them Phi Mu. And I was just like, that's so rude. Like, and they still do. Like, not even his frat. Apparently, all the frats call it Phi Mu, or Phi Mu, which really actually makes me upset because I'm not even a part of it. But I've met some of the girls in Phi Mu, and they're so kind and everything. And I still don't understand why they call them that. But sororities just they're just not my thing personally. I would rather, in my opinion, not join a sorority than join one because then all of my time is taken up by that sorority and I've already got 95 billion things going on at once. I don't need to be worrying about what Kelsey said about Chelsea 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry, like I don't need to worry about that. There's also a lot of drama that I've heard that goes on in sororities. Not even sororities here at Ball State. Again, back to Miami at Oxford, Ohio. Like, I know that we don't go there, but like we have a rivalry with them in football that has nothing to do with that. But anyway, like my friend who goes there, she's like, yeah, sororities are a big thing. And I went to go visit her one time and there's like every house has a label on it. Like we don't have that here at Ball State, but in Oxford they do, which is actually kind of crazy. It's also like really dumb names. Like I can't even remember them because they're dumb. But I mean, like it's funny. And there's one fraternity house that really sticks out. At Oxford though, they're not allowed to have fraternity or sorority houses actually, because they haze really bad, like really bad. One of my friends actually rushed a sorority at Miami, and she was like, "You can't tell anybody I told you this." So, whoops. She had to swallow a live goldfish. Yeah, I was like, "Oh my gosh." I was at a loss of words whenever she told me that. I was like, oh my gosh, okay. But there are other things that I've heard of that were like way worse that I'm not gonna talk about because it's gross. I think the worst hazing I've ever heard of actually happened not here. I think the worst hazing that happens here is drinking. There's one fraternity that I know that drinks every single day, which is so crazy. Conveniently enough, it's the one that my ex-boyfriend's in. But at a different college, not this one obviously, I heard that they locked their pledges up in a cage and then pee on them, which was crazy to hear, by the way. It was insane. I don't understand. I don't know. Oh, it was just hearing about it. I was like, why would you ever want to do that? I want to know, like, what the people who are actually, like, the poor kid locked in the cage, like, they're like, oh, now I have to pee on him. Like, what do you think? Like, what goes on in your head whenever you're, like, actively doing that to that poor boy? So I heard from one of the old brothers in Sigma Nu. He actually wasn't a brother. He was a pledge, and then he dropped out of college, by the way. I heard that their dues were, like, $600. That was for the semester. Phi Delts were, like, $700. Some of the bigger frats like Delta Tau or DTD, SAE, I don't even want to know what theirs were because I bet that they were so much more expensive. I actually take that back. I think theirs are cheaper than Phi Delts because I've heard that Phi Delts were the most expensive. But one of these fraternities on this list, Phi Sigma Kappa, won't be here next year because they only had like 6 people rush last semester, and I don't think anybody rushed Phi Sig this semester, and they're going to be dropping off of campus, which, oh no, not the house with the pipes that fall off the ceiling, which... Okay, in their defense, I don't really know why, but they usually don't bang on that pipe, and then just that night it fell, I guess. But yeah, that getting locked in a cage and getting peed on is crazy, by the way. Oh my gosh. There's another thing that I heard of about hazing. It's really gross. It is called elephant walk. And my ex told me about this, and I said, if I ever find out that you guys did this at your frat, I'm going to break up with you, and then I'm going to tell everybody about it. Elephant walk, oh gosh. The boys, the guys, the pledges, had to get naked and touch stuff that wasn't supposed to be touched. And they had to do it in a line. Whenever I was explaining what this was, I think I started crying because I was like, that's disgusting and terrifying. Why would you guys ever do that? I've heard that some people have had to snort coke. Like, okay. I think the elephant walk thing is a little bit worse than doing coke, because that's gross. I mean, they're both bad for, well, the coke is bad for you, but like, the elephant walk is so gross. I don't know of any frat on Ball State campus who has done elephant walk. I heard of one, but I don't remember which one it was. But oh my gosh, it just whenever he told me about that, I was like, oh my god, why would you ever think of doing that? Why is that something that you would ever do? Another thing, so whenever you have a big brother, they can basically tell you like what to do. So my ex's big brother and like 3 or 4 of the other big brothers told their pledges, I think actually the whole frat did this, all the pledges couldn't touch grass for however long they said. And one day, me and my ex were walking down the sidewalk. It was like 9:30 on like a Thursday. He was walking me back from a friend's dorm, and there was a group of people coming at us, and it either would have been me walking in the road or in the grass, depending on whatever side of the road we went on, or it would have been him walking in the grass or in the road, just so, that way we would both be out of the way, because if for some odd reason he walks behind me, he literally can't walk to save his life. I don't know. It's like the last 2 seconds before we pass this group of people, I'm like, okay, he's gonna get in the grass and I'll stay on the sidewalk. No, he flips us around so quick that I almost fall on the ground, and he's like, oh, sorry, I can't touch grass. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Wish you would have told me that before I almost fell, but okay. We passed this group of people, and I think the thing that made me the most upset about it was that I had on brand new shoes. Like like fresh out the box, brand new, like that day, and I stepped in like mud. It wasn't like a big thing of mud, but it was still like it was still mud. All right, I counted. And I was like, so why can't you touch grass? Are you allergic? And he was like, no. And I was like, well, then why did you do that? And he was like, I can't tell you. That's another thing, by the way. I gotta point this out. Is that he all the time, I feel like now I'm just kind of making fun of him, but I'm not really meaning to. All the time he would be like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. And I'd be like, oh, what is it? And he would be on his phone looking at something. He's like, oh, it's frat stuff. I can't tell you. Then don't bring it up. I don't understand what you want me to say then. Like, I can't know. Okay, not a big deal. I ended up yelling at him one day. I was like, listen, I told you I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you, whatever. If you know that if you tell me this stuff, it's going to get you in trouble, don't tell me. This is not even for, like, brothers now, pledges now. Like, if you know that if you tell somebody what you're about to say is going to get you in trouble, don't tell them. Because fraternities, again, are insane, obviously. And I'm pretty sure if they find out that you did something that they don't like, they're gonna, you're gonna get punished, obviously. So I would tell him, I'm like, he'd be like, oh, can I tell you something? And I'd be like, yeah, what's up? And then I'd be like, wait, can you tell me this? And he'd be like, yes. And I'd be like, okay. Whenever he's like, no, I would literally go, then don't tell me because I don't want to know. It's also another thing is I didn't want to know a lot of the stuff about the frat anyway. Hey, let me find it out on my own terms. And then I found out that they were all put on probation, but that's a different thing. I didn't even find out actually from him that they were on probation. I found out from a different fraternity, a different guy rushing a different fraternity, because all these frats know everything about each other. And it's actually crazy that they do that. And then they're like, it's a secret. XOXO gossip girl, like, okay. But he all the time would be like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. I'd be like, oh, what is it? And it wasn't funny. It was like really stupid. And it wasn't like really stupid. It was just always something like, you couldn't have told me this like just in a quick 30-second conversation. Like, I remember one time we were on the phone and it was a 35-minute phone call because he just kept repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And I was like, this is about the frat, isn't it? And he's like, well, yeah. Dude, you've told me this like 6 times already. Oh, well, I want to tell you again. Okay, that's nice. I don't really care. Yeah. It's also another thing of like, frat guys are not the nicest. I've met a lot of frat guys where I'm like, dude, you're really cool. And there's like 3 or 4 that I'm like, oh my gosh, why do you act like that? Like, they're just rude. I got into one actually where we kind of got into a little bit of a fight. Not like a physical fight, but like we had a talk on Instagram, and he was like, you apologize for your actions or I'm going to get you blacklisted from the frat. Okay, I'm sorry. Which I'm not going to go too into detail about it because it's pretty personal on his end. But basically in my defense, I said my actions were not appropriate. I was literally just making fun of him because I found out that he was talking bad about me. And I said, listen, I'm sorry. My actions are not appropriate. My words, not the nicest. But I heard what you said about me, and I really don't appreciate that. And then he went on to drop some crazy lore about himself. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. Like, I told him, I was like, listen, man, like, I'm sorry that you're going through that. But what does that have to do with you calling me fat? Like, just like, okay, like, you do you. I'm not going to judge you. I told him, I was like, listen, if you ever need to talk to me, just let me know. He was like, yeah, like, thanks for listening. And I was like, yeah, of course. And then I texted him a few days later because he was like, I thought you still liked me. No, honey. I ended up telling him, like, straight up, I was like, I don't know why you thought I still liked you because I didn't talk to you. like, at all. Like, he would see me at frat parties and give me, like, dirty looks. I'd be like, okay, so this guy hates me. I was like, that's fine. I wouldn't go to the parties for him anyway. I'd go to have a good time, which is what I really only go to frats for. My experiences at, like, quote unquote parties, which were prom and homecoming, sucked. So now being able to go to a random house and listen to stupid music and be able to dance in a weird outfit, like, even the clothes that I wear to frat parties are not mine. I told him, I was like, I literally only go to SNU to have a good time. Like, I don't go for you, no offense to him by any means, but I just go because it's fun, like, if that makes sense. And he was just like, oh, well, I thought you came for me. No. No. I had to let that down slow. No. But it wasn't. I told him, I was like, listen, if you want to keep talking to me, that's fine. Like, I'm gonna be here if you want to talk. And then he blocked me on Instagram. Oh no, you still got a spams account, baby. I can follow that and get your info. If I ever needed anything, obviously, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to text him because I'm not gonna do that. He just, in my opinion, there's a lot of stuff about a lot of different frat brothers, which I have heard about, by the way. Out of many of these different frats, not sororities, frats, I've heard a lot about some of the guys in there. Some that I know, not like, I wouldn't say personally, but like I just know who they are. That are like, whoa, okay. Just some stuff I think is just not something that needs to be brought up in public or brought up actually at all. If you don't want people to know about it, then don't tell them about it. But yeah, I'm not really, like I said, I'm not a big fan of them, but I'll go if I know that the house is safe. And I say safe because people talk bad about different houses, obviously. I can say, though, I've been to one SAE party. The house is massive, by the way. The room was 75 million degrees because there was 85 million people in there. But it was a good, I'd say that 5 minutes that I was in that house, it was a good experience for all the bad stuff that I've heard about SAE. Like I said, I've been to a Phi Delt party. That was within like the first month of being here, or first 2 months of being here on campus. It was just hot. The floor was bending inwards, like I said. Not safe. Phi Psi, so they actually paired with Phi Sig. Actually, so Phi Delt, Phi Psi, and Phi Sig they're called a tri-Phi, because they're all the Phis. Duh. Sorry. But Phi Psi and Phi Sig threw some parties together, and then Phi Psi threw their own party, which I went to. Wasn't bad. That we walked in, and I'm friends with he's now a brother. I walked in, he's like, just don't jump. And we were like, why? And he's like, the floor is on stilts. What? What? The house that they were throwing at, the floor was on stilts. I can't make this up. It was confusing. But Phi Psi was good. That party I actually went to, they collabed with Phi Delt. I've been to ATO a few times. Last time I went, though, I dressed the theme. Me and my friends dressed the theme and then got judged for dressing the theme, which was rave. But it was also, that night they threw a party, and Sigma Nu threw a party as well. But the theme for ATO was rave, and the theme for Sigma Nu was construction. So we dressed for both themes. So neon t-shirts and pants, which wasn't that big of a deal, but just walking into the ATO basement and then getting like stared at because we were wearing neon clothing is what you wear at a rave. Like they posted pictures for it, and it was literally people wearing neon clothes. So I was literally confused. I don't know. It was, but like I said, I only go to a few certain houses. Everybody has their own different opinions about the fraternity houses or the frats in general. Obviously, I have my own. One of my best friends, she loves SNU. I'm not saying that I don't love SNU by any means, but I just, they're a frat and they throw parties. She's like, I love Sigma Nu, and I'm like, that's good for you, baby. I don't care. I'm just here. I'm literally wearing your clothes as we speak, and I'm just here. I love her. She's always like, Sigma Nu, I love you, SNU. And I'm like, oh my gosh, girl, can you chill out? She's friends with a lot of the brothers, and which is good. She's making friends, which I'm proud of her for. Just what? Don't yell that you love SNU while we're in the basement of the house, please. I don't need them thinking that we're weird by any means. But yeah, that has been this episode of College Life Unscripted. If you like this show and the other ones, please leave a rating. That way other people can find and listen to these episodes.
College Life Unscripted is a production of Jack Ringenberg Media. Check us out online at jackringenberg.com. The views and opinions in this episode belong to the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of Jack Ringenberg Media, Jack Ringenberg, or Ball State University.